Hello and welcome back to Writerly Witterings in a new year, 2024. Happy New Year, folks. It's a bit late to say it, but never mind. What have I got for you this year? Well, hopefully I'm going to be bringing you a few more inks, a few more pens and a few more other items, but I'll also be bringing about... I've contracted to write 3 books and I'm going to try to edit 2 others and write a 4th, which means that the videos will be rather more intermittent than they have been in recent years. It's not ideal, but it's just one of those things that happens. Real life gets in the way. I've also got the other problem that my diabetes is pretty much cured in terms of blood sugars because I've changed my diet, but the damage has been done over 10 years, and so I'm currently having to have monthly operations on my eyes, which really doesn't appeal. But never mind, these things hopefully are going to stabilise my eyesight so I don't go blind, which is beneficial, I think you'll agree. What have I got today? Well, I've got an interesting one for you, actually. I was contacted a few months ago by those very nice people at Dominant Industries, and they said, we've got some ideas for 6 new inks that we want to try out. But they're not a huge company, and they thought the best way of trying to get these inks to market would be via a Kickstarter. So they've set up a Kickstarter program, which I think is going live next week. Keep an eye on Kickstarter for Dominant Industries. Now, Dominant Industries, let's have a look at some of their stuff. Here's one of their new styles of packaging. This is an ink called Blue Rose, which they'll be bringing out. This Kickstarter is going to start, it'll run for a few months, and the inks should be delivered in June, I think, of this year. So it's a little bit early. But when you buy Dominant Industry inks, you get this nice little package. You get a delightful box, which has its own little mini pipette, so you can fill your ink into your eyedropper pen or whatever it might be. You get this nice little imitation cotton bag. It's not really cotton, I think it's a form of plastic, but it's just a nice little touch. And inside you get these beautiful teardrop bottles of ink. And they have a variety of different ones. So this is Blue Rose. There is also, let's see what else I've got here. This interesting concoction is Alexandrite, which is really very interesting. This is Pink Robin, an ordinary standard ink. Here we have Unicorn, which, as you can see, has got lots of little flakes. There are 6 of them. This might be slightly blinding, but this is Moonstone, again with lots of little shimmery bits. And then last and definitely not least, I'm not sure how to pronounce this, I think it's Apertura Metis, again a shimmering ink with a lovely colour to it. So that's what these delightful chaps at Dominant Industries have sent me. But before I demonstrate any of them, I'm going to have to explain a little bit about this project. What they're saying is, this is their Alchemist project. So the idea is that you can use these for calligraphy and painting and various other pastimes, whatever appeals to you. What I will just do is separate out two, because Dominant Industries have a number of different types of ink they like to use. They have their standard inks. These are two of them. No shimmer, no strange stuff. These will work in any fountain pen, absolutely no problem at all. And they are quickly developing a lovely range of different colours and styles of ink. Then, with Alchemist, they have these, the Pearl series. Yep, that's these two. Now the Pearl series are the ones which they are very proud of, that give a gorgeous shimmering effect. These, I believe, are perfectly all right in any fountain pen, but it's one of those things, treat them with care, test them in your pen first and make sure they're safe. So that is the Apertura Metis and Unicorn. I've got to say, Unicorn is one of my favourite inks just now. These two, though, are rather surprisingly different, and I think it's fair to say that these are the two that are going to get the most immediate interest. Not just because they look incredibly gloopy, don't they? Just look at them. They're very thick, viscous styles of ink, and they obviously have lots of interesting shimmer in the bottom. These, I think, if you put them in an expensive fountain pen, will cost you a lot of money, because I think you'll have to send your fountain pen away to have it really carefully cleaned professionally. Don't do it. These are for calligraphy purposes, for dip pens or water brushes. Well, what's so special about them? You've got a sort of apricot-y colour here and a sort of perfectly pleasant little cobalt-ish or similar blue here. Well, what's special is what happens when you use them. I'll come back to that in a minute. So we have 6 interesting inks. Let's have a look at them and see how they all work. Just a quick break in the middle. In case you aren't a patron on Patreon even, all of my patrons will know already that I have been working quite hard on a book called One Last Dance Before I Die. And you too can now possess a copy. If you're interested in the idea of 1920s books with a detective based in Shanghai who is a member of the Shanghai Municipal Police Force and therefore somebody who works with Fairbairn and Sykes, the inventors of the Commando dagger, in fact the inventors of commando training and special operations training and the CIA's original training, all of their training was based on Shanghai Police Force. So I've written a sort of adventure thriller, slightly noir book based on that period. And if it goes well, I'll be writing more. So it's available now at a ridiculously cheap price from your friendly local Amazon store. Please, if you'd like to try it, go out and buy it. And don't forget, if you do buy it, if you do enjoy it, the best way of helping an author nowadays is by putting lots of positive reviews up on Amazon and Goodreads and all the other places. Well, that's the marketing bit over. Back to the video. Okay, so I've now done a little test. I apologise, my little puppy dog, wants to get in on the act. No. Floor, leave. The Alchemist. So, having just pushed the little monster off before she destroyed my desk, let's have a look at the results. Now, I have got these here. It's very difficult, depending on the light, to show colours in their best fashion. So I've taken various pictures which you can see now. However, let's just have a look at these in reverse order from here. First of all, standard ink, the Pink Robin, is really rather a pleasant. It is pink, but it's a dark pink. So it sort of gives you the feel of somewhere in between Red Dragon and a genuine pink on the Diamine range. But that's a really nice colour, actually. I'm pleased with that. Then there's Blue Rose. Blue Rose is, I think, rather lovely. It's quite a dark colour. I would say it's verging on a Prussian blue or a blue-black. But it's the sort of ink that I could see myself using a lot in fountain pens regularly. So those are the two standard inks as they're defined by Dominant Industry. Now we come on to two interesting ones. These are in their Pearl series. Now the Pearl series tends to be the one that's got lots of glitter in it. Apertura Metis. Strange name, funky colour. It's actually based on a butterfly. The Apertura Metis is a butterfly with bold orange wings decorated with splashes of sharp blue. There you go. So this ink is created with a very bright orange base, as you can see, with flashes of golden blue glitter that sparkle in the sunlight. Now, trying to show sparkles on a video is always, frankly, a pain in the backside. I find it incredibly difficult, especially when the weather's like this, very dull and not helping at all. But I can tell you that there are lots of good glittery bits in there. I should just say all of this has been written using a dip pen, mainly because a lot of them Dominant Industry do not recommend being used in a fountain pen. However, with a TWSBI or something similar, something I can take apart and use, any of their Pearl series, I'm perfectly happy to use that. And in fact, the next ink, Unicorn, is currently my ink of choice in my little cheapy Pilot. And it's beautiful, it really is. The Pearl series generally has a lot of glitter. Unicorn is staggering when you put it down on some paper. I assume that's, yeah, here you go. Now I've shaken this up and used it only a few minutes ago, but you can see how the glitter is all settling in the bottom already. There's a huge amount in there. Now, in terms of this, they wanted to have a pastel type of colour with purple, blue and pink. I can see the purple and the blue. I certainly can't see pink. What I can see is lots and lots of glitter. And apparently it's blue and green glitter in this case. Blue and green. I don't care. It's just gorgeous. It really is. It's glorious. So, that's so far so good. so interesting. So we've got Pink Robin, which, if I look at it here underneath these LED lights, it looks much more red. When I look at it from the side and it's got more daylight hitting it, it looks more pink. So you can take your pick, really. The blue rose, I think, is just a really appealing colour. Apparently there are rose highlights in there. I can't see that either, but again, I've got diabetic maculopathy and retinopathy, so it could just be my eyesight. The Aperture Ametis, I think, is really rather lovely. It's incredibly sparkly, very, very effective. Unicorn, however, I just love that sort of bluish colour with all that sparkle. It's glorious. But let's come on to the last two. The ones that really don't look as though anyone's going to like them at all. I mean, they're pretty gobby, aren't they? They're fascinating. Okay. Here you can see the first one, the Alexandrite, which is a delightful minty blue colour, I would say. Verging on a sort of pale teal, but delightful minty blue. And then there's this, which is Moonstone, which I find odd, because I would have said that the Moonstone I would expect to be more like that sort of colour. But they want to call it Moonstone, that's fine. This is really good white paper. It's William Hanna white paper, which is about 115 GSM, so it's robust. And it's normally very good, I find, for showing off any ink. And you can see this is really very pale. I don't think it's ideal for writing. So I thought it must be perfect for sketching or something then. So I did two little sketches. Now, as you can see, this is the Alexandrite, which is the delightful minty colour. And this is the Moonstone, which isn't quite so easy to see. There's actually a chair and a table and some shadow and a little bit of hatching, which I did there as well, just to show what it looks like. Now, let's just do a simple experiment. I'm going to stick this on my windowsill. It is now 41 seconds. Now this is a dreadful overcast day. It is grey, there's no sunshine, it's just cold and miserable really. So any impact that there is going to be a bit of a surprise. I must just hug a cup of tea because it's the sort of chap I am. Right, so it's been there now for about 30 seconds. Leave it a little bit longer because from experience it takes about 40 odd. That's 15. Let's go and get it back. Now you can already see it's gone quite a bit darker, and if I get this here, that's the colour it was originally. That's the colour it was, that's the colour it's become. So it's darkened really rather wonderfully. Now, Dominant Industry are marketing these two, or I should just say the Moonstone has gone considerably darker too. Moonstone. The Alexandrite has gone quite a bit darker too. These two are definitely not for the average user who just wants to do some writing. You can't use them in a fountain pen. dip pens really are the order of the day. You can see there's some good sparkles in them. They're not just bland colour changing stuff. There's some interesting things going on with these two. So my hot take from this lot is these inks are fascinating. I have been thoroughly impressed with Dominant Industries since the first ink I tried from them, which was Dusk, I think, a special offer with Cult Pens. And it wasn't cheap, but I saw it on Cult Pen's website. I was fascinated by it. I had to buy it. It was lovely, and it still is one of my favourite inks. Each of these has its own strengths. I really, really like Dominant Industries Standard and Pearl series, and I am not going to change from that. Turn this light off, that's the wrong sort of colour. I like the colours they're producing. I think they're robust inks. They're not going to fade very quickly or anything. I've got a bunch of other ones that they've sent me which I'm going to be reviewing in the next couple of weeks when I get time. But all of these are really well worth having a look at. The Alexandrite, however you pronounce it, I don't care, is lovely. Really interesting colour, very, very nice. The Moonstone, a little bit more problematic for me because maybe it doesn't like this paper, maybe it's something that would be happier on a different type of paper. It is a very pale ink when it's on white paper in bright daylight. It is quite difficult to see, as I can attest from looking at my little picture, although it shows up better on this camera than it shows up in real life with my eyesight, so it could just be my eyes. But this is going to be available from June on Kickstarter. I think you'll be able to join the Kickstarter next week, and each of these 6 inks will be available on that one Kickstarter project. So you too can have these 6 inks at home and play with them yourself. If you're a fountain pen enthusiast, you may not be so keen on these inks, but really these are for calligraphy and art. At the end of the day, keep an eye on Kickstarter. Look out for Dominant Industries and their Alchemist selection, and you can make your own view. They've got some fantastic sketches up there, or they will have when it goes live, which show how these inks can be used with water brush pens and various other artistic tools, and they are really nice. So I'll be interested in your views on this lot. I say Pearl series are always outstanding, and these just continue the tradition. Their standard inks are lovely, I think. Really, really good. So all in all, I'm very impressed. I have to say thank you to Dominant Industries for sending me through these examples. They wanted to have someone to have a look at them so that they can add a bit of interest to the Kickstarter program. I'm delighted to be able to review them because I do like their packaging, I like their process, I like their efficiency. They just seem to be a really good little company that's doing great things. They obviously are proud of their products because they have spent a lot of effort making sure that they look good. They respect their own products, and that is something that not every company does nowadays. So, having said all that, thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a little thumbs up, and if you haven't already, if you subscribe, that helps. And if you want to buy me a coffee or any of those other good things, you know what to do, they're down the bottom. In the meantime, for those who were intrigued by the sight of my little 6-month-old puppy as she just stood up, equal in height with me sitting on my chair, here's a little more about the puppy and the burn and the ridgeback. Lovely dogs. Sometimes they behave.